Hey there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. I'm Kevin Dawson and I'm here with Booker T. Newton. He traveled all the way up from Lawton, Oklahoma to be here in our studio, courtesy of the Cleveland County Democrats. Thank you for coming all the way up here and being with us in person. It's great to meet you. We talked on the phone. That doesn't work.
Wow.
You are a fantastic person that I enjoy meeting and spending time with. So, and we got stories to tell already about what we've done in the last 30 minutes. So
we got some stories to share. But first of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with you with Coffee with Democrats. I'm not drinking coffee today. I got some water, but I'll probably get some a little bit later. But for those of you who are out there, if you drink coffee, go ahead and grab it because we're finna get into it.
And we're going to get into it really quick here, folks. So bear with us as we're getting going here. I've got to do some side work here on the side. It's been an adventure here at the Coffee with Democrats studio in the last 30 minutes. We've been buzzing around here trying to get things set up, but it's been good. So we need to talk a little bit about who you are. Give us a little bit of a history about who you are, and just kind of fill us in, fill in some of the gaps for people that want to know more about who Mr. Newton is.
All right, sure. Well, I hail from the great city of Altus, Oklahoma. I'm a small town country boy with big dreams and ambitions and goals. Now, being raised in Altus was a great time for me. I come from a large family that was full of love. Both of my parents raised me from my first day to my dad passed away a few years ago. My mom, who's 96, thank God, she's still with us. And so I grew up there in my formative years. I did a lot of stuff. I played basketball. I ran track. I met a lot of good people, a lot of people who I'm still in communication with today. But what I learned in Altus is what drove me to be in this place where I'm at today. I learned that hard work, values, morals, and the pursuit of your passion is what you need to make a good quality life. Some of the things that we're missing right now, in my opinion, in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, we're going to get into that. I'm going to try to, while we're talking here, I've got you on the screen first, and we're already getting some love.
All right.
I'm appreciating all the people that are showing their hearts. And if you got questions for Mr. Newton, please put those questions out there because we'll get to those as soon as we can. But it's great to have you here, and it's also great to have somebody that I've traveled down to Lawton. I've met with a lot of people down at the Comanche Democratic Party. Great folks down there. I love them. I love spending time down there. But again, the story about Lawton, Oklahoma and Comanche County is a little bit bigger than just, the small community of Democrats. It's a very diverse community.
It is.
It's right next door to Fort Sill. For those people who are listening in that don't know about it, Fort Sill's just to the north edge. But Lawton has been probably, in my opinion, one of the most diverse communities historically in Oklahoma throughout its history. And it's got a really rich history because Fort Sill was there when this was nothing but a territory, and then it grew from that. But so talk to us a little bit about your desire to get into, I need to dig more into your history.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I need to dig more into your history. So you didn't just hail from Altus, Oklahoma.
No.
You spent some time in the military, just a few years.
Yeah, a little time. So I had a small stint in the military. I did 29 years and 6 months in the Army. I started my career in the Oklahoma National Guard.
Okay.
I was in ROTC at Cameron University, where I met my bride of 32 years now.
Okay.
Did I get that right? All right, 32 years. And we've traveled the world, and we've always come home. My mom is in Lawton, her mom is in Lawton, and her family is in Lawton. And so wherever I was in the world, 5 times a year, I was coming home to see our parents. We made sure we kept our kids connected to their grandparents all along the way, and to the community that we call home, and which was very important to us. But I grew up at Fort Sill. I grew up in Lawton. I graduated from Altus High, but I spent my years learning who I was and the man that I was ultimately going to be, started in Lawton, Oklahoma, at Fort Sill, where I was one of the many field artillerymen.
Okay.
A branch that I love dearly. And it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about sacrifice, about commitment, about duty, honor, and respect. But more importantly, it taught me about selfless service, about how it's more important to do better for the people around you than it is to do for your own self. It taught me about community and how important it is to be a part of a team that's moving in the same direction. Being at Fort Sill and being a part of a team and being in a diverse unit at that means that the leader of that organization has to be able to communicate effectively to everybody within that organization to ensure that the mission is accomplished. Now, sometimes we may not have met the mark, but I can tell you 100% of the time, we either met it or we failed as a team, as a unit. Something that we are missing in this community today is that commitment to one another, that team.
So you served in the Army.
Yes, sir.
You started at Fort Sill as an artilleryman.
Yes, sir.
You've been in there 39 years. You didn't spend all of your time in Lawton.
29 years. And no, so I started at Fort Sill. Actually, I started in Duncan in the 158 in the National Guard.
Okay.
Then I went active duty, went to Fort Sill. I was in the field artillery there. Then I went to Germany as a field artilleryman, and I was doing well. Everywhere I went, the teams that I was a part of, we accelerated, and we were always recognized for being not just the best, but just elevating the whole team, the whole battery, or the whole battalion.
Right.
Being a part of a team is what makes everything better.
Right.
There are no more pioneers, in the Army, but we are pioneering together as teams, so whenever a new guy moves out, a new guy comes in, then we go through the storming stage again as we're forming the groups until we figure out what that cohesion is going to look like. And once we gel, and believe it or not, we gel regardless of who you are, who you love, or who you pray to. Yeah. We know that we got a mission to fight for the American people.
I love what you just said, that it matters that no matter who you pray to.
That's right. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And after 9/11, I was in the middle of the motor pool, and we were preparing to deploy to Poland. Poland had just recently joined NATO.
Right.
And the government had decided to do a joint exercise to influx cash money into the Polish economy. And so I was all for it. And so we were getting ready to go. The whole battalion was going of 300 soldiers. We were taking 27 launchers. It was going to be the full armada of artillery pieces and all of our associated subordinate units.
Right.
After 9/11, that got reduced tremendously from all 27 launchers going to just 2. Right. Mine and one other soldiers. And we went because we were the best. And when we went, it didn't feel the same, because when we got there, they started firing. Right. That's when the first retaliatory strike occurred while we were downrange in Poland. And when that happened, you got to see the true spirit of just exactly who America sent to fight and prosecute their wars.
Right.
The best and the brightest. They are sending people, young men and women, to walk into recruiting stations, talk to recruiters, and tell them, I want to go and do this, with full knowledge of knowing that what you're going to go do may change you forever, or you may not come back. And if you do come back, you may be impaired for the rest of your life.
Or changed.
Yeah. Now, for those young men and women who stand tall bravely in front of God and country, I will always respect and honor their service.
Right.
At no point in time will I let anybody demean their service in my presence, because each service member, regardless they were in finance, transportation, or my beloved food service,
right,
or my even more beloved supply NCOs,
right,
we can't fire around. We can't do our job without those guys. For every one soldier, it takes 10 civilians to effectively prosecute a fight.
So from Afghanistan, from Poland, Did you ever go to Afghanistan
No.
or to?
So when I left
Iraq?
Poland, I was submitted in to be recommended by the brigade commander to be a drill sergeant. As soon as my packet hit the personnel management office, I was snatched up into recruiting command.
Okay.
And I was one of, I believe, about 15 soldiers, NCOs, who were involuntarily converted to be full-time recruiters. I didn't have a say in if I wanted to be an artilleryman or if I wanted to be a recruiter.
Right.
Now, I don't know how they selected me out of all the thousands of highly qualified NCOs who I served with, but they picked me. And I don't have a problem with it because I went to recruiting the same way I did into field artillery. I got there, I observed, I learned, and I understood the mission. I understood what was at stake.
Right.
And I made sure that if you scored a 99, which is the highest you can get on that ASVAB, or if you got a 5, I treated you the exact same way.
So the next question, we got to move on to that one. You went into basic training. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
you were said there's different terminology. Some are drill sergeants, some are.
Yep.
Anyhow, you got into basic training and training people to be soldiers. How long did you do that?
So basic training for me was only about 9 weeks long, but I started training soldiers immediately after that. So when I went to my first unit,
Right.
I was immediately placed in a launcher, and I already had a couple of soldiers that I was actually supervising.
Okay.
But when I went to got to Germany,
Right.
when I was a platoon sergeant, I went from E4 to E6 pretty fast.
Okay.
But I took over
And
a tank.
that's a big accomplishment.
Oh yeah,
because
it's
E4 to E6 is generally several years.
Oh yeah, I was probably one of the youngest. I was probably one of the youngest tank commanders at the time when I was in Germany. But it wasn't just I was young. My whole section was young.
Sure.
I had 2 privates. Normally, I would be a staff sergeant, and you would have an E5, a sergeant first, a sergeant as the gunner,
Right.
and then you would have a skill level 1 soldier as the driver. I had 2 privates.
Okay.
And with 2 privates, we were able to do some things that hadn't been done since.
Right.
We did a lot of things. We had a lot of fun. Now, we wrecked the tank. We had some hardships, but those 2 soldiers that was in my tank with me back in 99 to 2000 to 2001, we're still in contact and communication to this day.
That's a great story. That's the one thing that we want. Getting some great comments. Let's do this by Bounty Havey. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for joining us. Roscoe Hawkins, appreciate you joining us. And salute to Booker Newton 2994. Gotcha. We appreciate you as well. Got my vote, Senator. There you go. I hope this isn't the first time you've heard that.
Now, I've served with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm literally thousands of young men and women throughout my time. Either they know me as a soldier or as their leader.
Right.
Or more than that, they know me as their friend, someone they can come to. And you're going to be hard pressed to find a soldier who worked with me and never worked for me, who worked with me during my tenure, who don't like me as a person, or who really is just adamant about my leadership. If you find one, I like to talk to them and see what happens. It's probably a few of the guys that I probably put out the Army because I did have to do some things because I can't allow you to put your hands on people, particularly women. Right. I can't allow you to go and misuse children. Right. I can't sit back and allow you to lower the standards. You know, I'm a standard bearer, but I was only there as a placeholder. My job when I took over in positions of leadership is to make sure I left that unit better than I found it. And you don't do that by demagoguing people in the past. Right. You do that by talking to the people who you're getting ready to fight with, understanding their families, understanding their challenges, understanding their issues. Now, there are going to be some soldiers that are going to probably support me that'll tell you that I did some things that was very non-traditional in order to succeed. I put soldiers first. Yeah. I put them first. I had a formation in 2010 of 34 recruiters in Shreveport, Louisiana, where I asked the group, how many of you are on antidepressants? Yeah. And more than half of that room raised their hands. I said, it's my job to make sure that we get you off of that. Right. How many of you are pursuing your education? Well, it's my job to get you enrolled in college. Right. How many of you are volunteering in your community? Well, it's my responsibility to get you involved in your community. We're recruiters. We're not strip miners. I want you to live and stay in the community in which you recruit out of. Be a part of that community. I went to church. I got my hair cut. I shopped in the city that I recruited in.
Yeah.
And that made me extremely successful, not just as a recruiter, but as a parent, because I was able to get home to my kids, be present for my spouse, and coach a lot of teams along the way. And I encourage them that. I encourage them to chase your passion, follow your heart, dream big, dream big. And whatever that dream is, follow that passion, because once we lose our spark to follow our passion, it's a slippery slope. And I've said goodbye to too many young men and women who lost that passion. And I'm here to say that I'm willing to reach through the dark to talk to you, to reach out to you, to tell you to hang on just one more day.
So we've talked a lot about your career. Next that we need to talk about is family. I know it's very important to you. I've met your lovely wife, Teresa, and she's just a lovely spirit. And I've enjoyed our conversation that we've had here. Talk about your family.
So I come from a very loving family. My parents were married 63 years.
Okay.
And my dad was a pastor. My dad served in the Korean War. His brother served in the Korean War with him. My two brothers served in Vietnam. And my brother was my recruiter who put me on active duty.
Okay.
So family means a lot to me. And I'll never forget where I come from. But growing up in a family so big and so loving, you feel like a piece of clay. And so after they molded you to the point to where you're ready to go into the world, now it's time for you to find your better half, or what I like to refer to of my better 75%. Because without her, I can't even keep my wallet, to me, right? But she is the glue that keeps it all together. Over 30 years together, we have 3 kids. We have 2 grandbabies. We just welcomed our newest grandbaby on Wednesday. And I'm going to tell you, it's bittersweet. I love my little grandbaby, but I'm here today. And, it's the saying in the Army. It's called leading while you're bleeding. Yeah. And so my granddaughter had a rough welcoming into this country, into this world. We were told today that my granddaughter may have to have surgery on her arm because she was a big baby. She was 9 pounds, 9 pounds, 22 inches. And so she had difficulty coming into this world. Right. But we're hopeful, we're prayerful that things are going to work out. Now I sit here today with a heavy heart because I know that there's going to be a long road ahead for the little one. Right. But I also sit here with a heart full of hope, knowing that through God and with him, all things are possible. And it may seem impossible to some, but I'm really not concerned or worried about her future, because I know at the end of the day, her light is going to be just as bright as her papa's, who's here. And by the way, until she gets full use of that right arm, you can best believe that I got a 20-inch cannon right here that's going to support her just in case she needs it. That's good. That's good.
All right. You're running for state senate for Senate District 32. Mm-hmm. What caused you to say, all right, I want to put my name in the hat. I want to represent the people of District 32.
It's a couple of things. The first thing was the Christian nationalist piece. My dad was a pastor. I grew up in the church, and being a pastor in Altus and the Black small Church of Christ that he had, that means that I had to be a part of 2 churches. So I was a part of Elman Huston Church of Christ, who molded me significantly. And they taught me some values that I carry through this world today. Right. You treat people the way you would hope that they would treat your kids if they happen to break down on the side of the road in the middle of the night. The courtesy that wasn't afforded to Michael Jordan's dad or Bill Cosby's son, I want somebody to be able to help my kids. So I make sure that I treat people that same way. And so when I saw the callousness of how they were raiding, and when I saw the inconsideration of how they are treating the soldiers here at home, at Fort Sill right now, there is no place there. My daughter, she needs a pediatric neurosurgeon. Mm-hmm. There is not one in the region. So she will be going to OU for her help. But my daughter and my granddaughter aren't alone. It's hundreds of young ladies there right now who are struggling, trying to find the appropriate medical care for their kids. Right. And if you have to come to Oklahoma City for that care, that's transportation costs, that's overnight hotel costs. And next thing you know, it becomes the issue of, do I get my child the care she needs? Can I afford it? You would hope that the community would step in and help. Well, the government, that's the role of the government, is to create a community, to set the boundaries and be that invisible hand. And it was always supposed to be an invisible hand in the market and within our lives. We shouldn't feel the oppression of government,
Right.
whether it be local government or state government. It should always be the people who make decisions about the direction that the people are heading to.
Right.
And then I saw, I'm a product of public school. I was talking with a friend of mine this morning. We both went to the same grade school in Altus, Oklahoma. Roosevelt Bombers. It was a great grade school, some great, fantastic teachers. And I brought up a couple of those teachers today who helped me along my way. I would hope that teachers are still doing that. Matter of fact, I know they are. But here's what I don't like. I don't like being recognized as being 50th across the world.
Right.
Everybody is laughing like it's funny. I just can't see myself laughing and joking about something so serious because I had family members who teach. But it's not just that. I had soldiers who teach. I got friends who are educators. Imagine going to work and every day you're being told that you're ineffective,
right,
or you're not making the mark, or you can't do the job.
Right.
And on top of it, you're not getting paid what they're getting paid just a few miles across the border. So you're doing the job, you're getting paid less, and they're offering you much less than they are across the border. So we're losing educators to other states,
right,
because we don't want to pay them. And then we act surprised when we end up where we are at 49 out of 50 or 50 out of 51st, depending on which one you want to look at. Now, I'm not offering a suggestion that we can go from 50 to 1. That's not going to happen no time soon. But however, we can go from 50 to 47.
Right.
And that's what I think we can do. I think that we can have the art of the possible.
Yes.
That if we all sat together and say, you know what, let's go to 47. What do we need? Well, number one, we need to get our fourth graders reading at the appropriate grade level.
Yeah.
So we should put more resources in our elementary schools, particularly in the first 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Make sure those kids are in the smallest classes that we can put them in. Smaller classes is a known fact to produce better results. Less stress on the teachers, less stress on the student staff, less stress on the students overall.
You also have the parent-teacher relationship that is better because the teacher doesn't have to communicate with 30 other parents.
Exactly.
Now they get to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can scale up. So you start off with a smaller classroom in those first 4 years, and you let these teachers teach. You trust them. You empower them to make decisions at their level. They know the students better than any administrator that's sitting at the Capitol. Let the teachers do like we do in the military. The lowest person on the ground has the best information.
Right.
Let her empower them to make those decisions as long as they're teaching the curriculum. Now, let them use their intuition. Let them use, there's a science and there's a skill to all we do.
Right.
Right. You can get the theory from a book, but until you sit down and put it in real practice, it's still a theory. We have teachers who have years of teaching. I had a teacher in high school. I was in her very first algebra class. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here today. She doubled back to make sure I understood linear equations. She doubled back to make sure that I understood the quadratic equation. And I'll never forget her for that. She's so good that she actually opened her own school in Altus. Right. She opened her own school in Altus. I'm not going to mention her name, but for my friends in Altus, we all know and love who she is and what she's done for the community and how she was able to inspire a generation to be better tomorrow than they are today.
Well, we've got just about 6 more minutes left. That we could have this conversation for hours.
Well,
I'm enjoying this conversation. You are a great ambassador. You're a great leader, and I'm enjoying having this conversation with
likewise.
You. The last question I have is, why should people vote for you?
Well, let me start off by saying that I've been blessed. I've been truly blessed by God to be here today. To even have this opportunity to make this statement on this format is a blessing. Considering where I come from and how far I've traveled and around the world I went, where many better men than me didn't make it.
Right.
So I stand in place for them. And why you should vote for me is that you need someone who knows people, the heart of man, who understands the troubles and the hard times, because I've been through the trouble and hard times, who understand what it's like to lose something you hold so dear and still have to walk out that door the very next day and go to work because you got a family to support, you got kids to feed, and you got a dog that's looking at you for his next bone, right? So you don't stop, you don't quit. We fall all the time, but good men don't mind falling. They'll stand back up. They'll stand up for community, and they'll stand up and they'll lead while bleeding. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we look at where we're trying to go, We need somebody who has the skill to bring together diverse groups, focus them on large problems, clear out all the noise that don't matter, and sit in a room and build consensus with one another, because we all work for each other.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're the building owner or if you're the employee at the lowest level, whether you're the janitor or whether you are changing the oil at the car dealership. Everything that we do is transactional because it is based on our friendship and our likeness and our selfless service to our friends and neighbors.
Right.
So we're all in the business of being connected. We just seem to have forgotten it for right now. But I have a feeling that we'll wake up. We'll wake up pretty soon and understand that we have way more in common. We have common goals. I say we get to number 47. I say we focus on improving the quality of our education.
Yeah.
With improved education, it improves the output. When I was the operations sergeant major here at Oklahoma City Recruiting Battalion, I saw some statistics that was horrifying, and it's across the whole command. Right. So we're the first indicator of the education system that you can see. We test a lot of people.
Right.
We test a lot of high school juniors, and so we see early on in September timeframe, August timeframe, depending on when the school starts, where the education level is at. And right now in the state, the state was at a 27% pass rate. That means that I just saw the thousands of young men and women who go through high school, do everything right, get their diploma, walk into a recruiting station just to be told, I'm sorry, but you scored a 15.
Right.
That is heartbreaking to me.
Right.
That's heartbreaking to me. If we want to increase our revenue in this state, guess what? By increasing education opportunities, that increases the byproduct of that. One of the unintended consequences is that you're going to have an increased number of students who are now fully qualified to serve in the military. And if they serve in the military, there's no better place to grow up. You get instant independence right there. You're going to get things that's going to carry with you for the rest of your life. But we do a disservice to our youth, to our community, when we don't teach to a standard enough to where when they graduate with a diploma, if they cannot immediately walk into a recruiting station and serve their country. And I want to change that.
Well, that's a great analogy that you brought up there, and a great story about where we need to go with our education. Again, I think you're a great ambassador and a great leader, and we're getting lots of positive comments. The most comments that I've ever got on this show.
All right. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll have me back.
I'll be happy to. But you talk about people going into the military, but look how, if we understand that the military is just a microcosm of the society in general. Look at all the people who are going into industry or going into jobs that they don't qualify for it, and after just a short period of time. And we wonder why some of our aid programs are so overwhelmed, because people just don't qualify for jobs. So we've got to do a better job in this state. And that starts with the leadership, with the governor's level, at the senators and the representatives that represent us in U.S. Congress and U.S. Senate, all the way down to the people in our city council and in our school boards. We got to make sure that people are ready. And I've said this before, I'll continue to say it, and I believe it with all my heart. The Democratic Party is here to help this state grow and become better. The Republicans want to control the will of the people. The Democrats want to do the will of the people. Folks, that's Kevin Dawson's speech right there. Yeah. But I believe that with all my heart, because we haven't always been in this situation. Both parties, we understand the history of both parties. We understand the history that both parties have not always been good.
Right.
But I can tell you from where we're sitting right here, right now, we've got a party that's controlled Oklahoma for over 2 decades. And that party has taken us from where we were in the top 20 down to 50th. And we can't continue to go that route.
You're right. If we were a professional sports team.
Exactly.
And the motto for the incumbent party was, we're going to go back to the basics, which I fully agree with. Let's go back and look at this thing from the ground floor up. Then we don't go back with the same coach. We don't keep the same coach. If we're going to go back to the basics, we're going to go back, and I keep hearing we're going to be a top 10 state, but yet and still our GDP from the state is dropping. We have the highest rate of farm bankruptcies that we've had in a long time. We need a new coach.
I agree with you on that. And that's going to be our closing statement, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight on Coffee with Democrats. Appreciate you coming all the way from Lawton and being with us, Booker T. You are an amazing person. I can't wait to spend more time with you, and I hope everybody will too. Come back and join us next week on Coffee with Democrats next Tuesday, 7 p.m. And until then, everybody, please be safe.
Thank you.
Coffee with Democrats is broadcast from the multimedia studio inside the Cleveland County Democrats office with their gracious permission to use the space. Our thanks to the Cleveland County Democrats Central Committee and Chair Jamie Shelton for accommodating our Tuesday night show.